Hello everyone, and welcome to Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is July the 31st, 2025, the end of another month. And it's amazing to me how fast these months fly by. I'm coming to you from Chatham, Ontario, which is the southernmost area of Ontario and Canada. And for those that are new, I'm all about crochet, obviously, showing items that I make, talking about patterns, doing crochet alongs and make alongs. And I particularly like to talk about hand-dyed yarn. And this past year, I have been focusing on indie dyers from Canada. And I'm going to continue talking to you about hand-dyed yarn that I am purchasing in Canada, and I have a little more to talk about, which not today, but in the coming months. So if that's something you like to hear more about, I hope you will stay with us and maybe decide to just subscribe and come back. And to all my returning viewers, thank you very much. You have made this the most enjoyable and welcoming community. I always look forward to hearing from you, and I do appreciate the comments that are left, and I respond to every single comment. Thank you for those that tuned in to our live show on Sunday, where Cathy from Yarn with Heart, and I kicked off our summer cow. And I will talk just a little bit about that later in the program. And I also want to thank those of you that took the time to watch my extra video at the first of the week, which was a surprise video. And I enjoyed the comments you made. Thank you very much. You are the most supportive and friendliest group of subscribers, I think. I really do appreciate every one of you. Now, I'm feeling like there is something else I'm supposed to talk to you about today. And for the life of me, I can't think. I know I'm forgetting something. Maybe it'll come to me before the end of this video. But today is the video we look forward to every month. Today is our slideshow for the month of July and the butterfly inspiration. I will get to that in just a moment. Before we start, though, I want to talk about my finished objects in the last week, as one of my finished objects has to do with our slideshow. So one of the items I finished in the last week was the lapgan blanket I was working on, and now it is totally finished. I don't know, maybe I showed it to you finished last week, but I don't recall. So I thought I would show it all to you. And the yarn I used was the Ferris wheel. Here is the Ferris wheel in the color Full Moon. And I used 3 and probably a little more than a half. I have this much left of the 4th cake. And that will go in a donation box. So that's one thing I finished just this past week. And I think just prior to that, I finished my item, and that's going to lead into the slideshow. I finished my item, which is back here, and I made a cowl, and it is called Defy Gravity. Maybe if I take this off, it's really, really cool down here. I'm taping in the evening, and it's quite cool. I had to put something on to warm up. But here is the cowl. I used I'll show you in a minute, just about the whole of 2 skeins. I'm really happy with it, and it goes down a fair bit. The one yarn had linen in it, so yeah, we're always picking things off of it. But here is the cowl. It turned out quite well. I was happy with the pattern and the yarn it used. And I have this much left from each of them. Now, this is, the black is a blossom fingering from EFA. There is the, and blossom fingering is 50% viscose bamboo and 30% merino wool and 20% lyocell. So bamboo and lyocell make up the majority of this yarn. It is soft. It feels nice. It was nice to work with. And I'm sorry I didn't weigh it, so I don't know how much I have left. But I'll just put it back in here. I'm going to think maybe 20 grams or so, which would be enough to act like a mini in another project. And then the other yarn, excuse me, is from Feisty Fibers. And I'll pull that out so you can see it. Feisty Fibers. And this one is a merino linen. 90% merino, 10% linen. And you can tell because there are like there's some bits of white in it where the linen doesn't take the dye quite the same as the merino, and there are pieces like this that come off. That's the linen, and it is a wee bit stiffer. Now, I have not washed and blocked this yet. I don't think it needs blocking. I'm quite happy with the way it is, but I think I want to wash it just to soften it up, because I'm told that linen will soften with washing. So I do want to wash it, but what's holding me back is when you are finished washing a cowl and you go to lay it out. I've had cowls before, and you lay them out to dry, you end up getting, I mean, you can't do anything but lay it flat, and then you end up getting a line on both sides where it dries. And I'm thinking, I gotta figure another way. I'm thinking of trying to find something that's tubular to put in both ends and not pin it down, just put it on the two at a distance and let it be open. See the linen there? And let it dry that way, because I don't want those lines in the side. So that's what I have made for this month. And I'm just going to put it over here. And I think I'm going to put my cocoon back on because it is a little bit on the cool side down here. So, having said all that, I think we're ready to start on our slideshow. So, let me get my notes and we will start. We are starting with Janet from California, and Janet has come up with her own design for a blanket for Boggy Creek. Then next we have Tammy M, who is from Ontario, and she has made these dishcloths. Next we have Demetra, also from Ontario, and she has made these shorty garden lace socks, and they are by Sarah Dawn's Designs. Marie from Virginia has once again made another Boggy Creek blanket and appreciated having so many colors this month. Then we have Denise, who is from Minnesota, and she has made what is called Dolly and Me hat set. And Bonnie S. from Pennsylvania, she made this crafty cardigan. She said it was a Hobby Lobby, from Hobby Lobby, so I guess the pattern came from them. And here's a picture with her mother wearing it. She made it specially for her mom's 85th birthday. And along with her mom is Bonnie wearing the Happy Shawl by Lisa Gwimmer, I guess. Gwinner. Not too sure if I said that right. Then Barbara B., who is in Missouri, has used a Japanese chart and crochet thread to make this, well, it's larger than a doily, but it looks sort of like a doily, but it is bigger from what I could tell in the picture. I still can't imagine working with thread. Next, Josephine, who is in North Carolina, has made this tendril shawl. I think we've seen a tendril shawl before because it's by Carmen Heffernan. And of course, I've done a focus on Carmen Heffernan. If you want more information on her, look back into my playlist on Designer Focus. Then Mary Ellen, who is in Ontario again, has made this ruffled baby blanket. And it comes from a vintage vintage pattern book. Remember the old beehive pattern books? You have to have been around a long time. My mother had those. And this was a beehive pattern book for baby. And she says that this is for one of the 3 expected grandchildren coming in the, no, one of the 3 great-grandchildren coming sometime in the next few months. And Raylene has made 2 hats. These are both patterns. Raylene is in South Australia. And both of these patterns are patterns from Crystal at Bag a Day. And she said the one is called the Easy Beanie, and the other is a beginner-friendly crochet bucket hat. And Ellen from Illinois has made this summer mesh shawl. And Diane from Wisconsin has made, I think Diane is new, or maybe she's done this once before. She's made this no-sew crochet bag. And it's from a channel on YouTube called Play Hooky With Me. Lillian in Ontario has made this blanket. And again, we have a pattern from Crystal at Bag a Day. And Susan, who is in New Jersey, has made this scarf, and she hasn't told me anything about it. Now we have 2 Vickies. It's funny, I get the 2 Vickies at the same time, and I often get the 2, there's one other one that I get them, but oh, Lori. I got the 2 Loris at the same time. I'll have to be very careful. Vicki O, she has made this female chameleon. She made some alterations, I think, to make it a female, and it's a pattern by Cat Crochets. And Vicki C, who is in California, the other Vicki didn't tell me where she is, and I've forgotten. The Vicki C is in California, And she's done 6 more squares. She's monthly doing squares. Granny Square Sampler. And it's from the it's from the book Better Homes and Gardens, Knitting and Crochet, I believe. Then Lisa S., who is in Ontario, has made this Pioneer braid scarf. Pattern is by Catherine Ryan, and it is free on Ravelry. I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, it's knitted. I'm not swearing to it, but I think it is. Then we have Lori M., that's in PEI, and she has made this Jake beanie by Kayla DeWald of Captivating Crochet, and the pattern is on Ravelry. Then we have another Lori, no last name, and she's from Utah, and I think this is her first time participating. And Lori has made this divine hat, and it is a pattern by Fiber Spider, so you would find the tutorial on YouTube. Graciela is from Florida, and she's made this easy side-to-side sweater. And it's a pattern she got from Jeannie of On the Hook Crochet. That's a YouTube channel. The pattern is from On the Hook Crochet. Then Tina from Australia has once again done her 9-patch block with the butterflies, and she used a tutorial for the motifs that comes from Pookie Doodle Crafts, and there are lots of colors in it this month. Then Cindy S., who is in Missouri, made this swim cover for her granddaughter, and she says it's her own pattern. Then Alexandra, who's from California, has made this speed bump scarf. That's the name of it, speed bump scarf. And it's a pattern by Pony McTate. That's a new name to me. And Lillian from Singapore, she has made a CJ Brady pattern called Just Breathe. I think we've seen this one somewhere before too. I probably made it myself. As you know, I like CJ Brady and her One Skein Wonders. And we'll just pass on this little tidbit. The wool comes from Adam at Crafty Wool in the UK, and he's a follower of the channel. And Kimberly from Florida has made this, I always struggle, Etalothea shawl. I don't know if it's Etalothea or Etalothea. Anyhow, it's a shawl I've had on my to-do list for some while, and it's a pattern by Morbin Designs. And Barbara from Alberta has knitted the Ross hat, and that comes from Smells Like Yarn. And this Sugar Plum cowl, which is by Michelle Krause. Then Adam from the UK has made this shawl, but there was no name or information with it. And Rosanna, who is in Ontario, has made this mitered square lapgan, and again she makes these for donation. Next we have Severin, who is from India, And she has made these various amigurumi toys. She says the dinosaur came from Amigurumi Today website, and the caterpillar also came from YouTube somewhere. Robin, who is from Ontario, has knit this barley hat, and the pattern comes from Tin Can Knits. Melissa from Pennsylvania, once again, has made a collection of hexagons. These are all going in the Corey Dallas blanket, I believe it is, from EFA. And I'm looking forward to seeing that all put together at some point, Melissa. Then we have Debbie P., who made this shawl and said there was no pattern. So she just did her own thing. Good for you. Debbie P. is from Arizona. Did I say that? I don't know. And then we get Debbie LW. See, we get the two Debbies at the same time. She's from California. And this is the Happily Stained Blanket. And it's a tutorial by Be Creative Crafts. And I have a pattern in mind very similar to that, if I'm remembering right, that I'm going to make. It's a wrap. I'm going to use one of my advents for. Then we have Deb. Must get them all at the same time. We have Deb from Arizona also. And she has made This Is Me shawl. And it's a pattern by Wilma Westenberg. And next, we have Carmen from California. And she has made this blanket, and she adapted the Carolina chevron cowl to make it into a blanket size. And it's a pattern by Jennifer Rosenfeld. And there's also here a hat. And it was a tutorial from How to Crochet the Wavy Brim Hat by Aniela Leon. And I know I have not said that name correctly. Then we have Bonnie B., who is from here in Chatham. And she submitted 3 lapgans this month. The orange one, as you see, has the butterflies to fit our logo this year. And the multicolored one is the modern granny stitch. Those two are going in our donation box. And then the green one, she said she's keeping that for herself because the yarn seemed quite fragile. It would not withstand multiple washings in industrial size machines. Then we have Tammy S., again from Ontario, and she was making this first one I show you. She was making this for the market. I believe it's a cardigan, and her 6-year-old granddaughter saw it, and she wanted it. And she explained to her that it was too large for her, it was adult size, and that she was taking it to market. And the granddaughter immediately goes into Tammy's stash and comes back with scraps and asks her to turn this into a sweater for her. And while she was doing that, the 4.5-year-old granddaughter also had to do the same thing, of course. And so we're going to see 2 smaller sweaters that she immediately produced for these 2 grandchildren, despite the fact she had a lot of work to do for her markets. And Donna from New York, she has made more squares. I'm thinking she's in the process of making a blanket as well. Then Rebecca from Mississippi, She has first a white with sparkles, white with sparkle shawl. And she said, it's just a mishmash of patterns she put together. And if you look closely, you'll see it has sleeves at the end. And she did also this hat and scarf set with some landscape yarn. Then Charmaine, who is from Florida, and Charmaine, I think this might be your first time participating as well. She has made this corner to corner shawl prayer shawl, which I believe will go to a group at her church. Then Kayla from Iowa has made this granny stitch tank top, and it is a pattern from MJ's Off the Hook. I think that's a common designer we know. And finally, to wrap it up, we have Cindy from Costa Rica, and I think you will recognize all of the squares in this blanket are the squares from the past 6 months based on the color of those months. And for this month, she put them all together and did a border around them using a color from the butterfly this month. And she said that was plenty big enough. You can see now with her husband holding it up that these are quite large. So those 6 squares made a good size blanket. So that brings us to the end. I kind of mixed up the order there. And even though I thought we had less this month, at the last minute, a lot of you get something sent to me. And once again, we had 42 people participate. Yeah, I have a furry little guy just staring at me down there. He's being quiet tonight. Now, I have to admit that when I came down to start this video and I went and got my phone because I have the wheel on the phone, it was dead. So I had to go and plug it in, and now I have to stop. I hope it's charged enough that I can, whoa, well, because you can't be on all of those things. Yeah, there you go. You can get up now. So I'm hoping the phone is charged enough that I can bring it down here and do the spin of our wheel. So you're going to have to be patient with me for a minute while I go and get it. Well, I'm back. Are you still there? Glad you're still with me. I know you wouldn't disappear when you're waiting for the spin of the wheel. Who would leave if they wanted to see that? Okay, let's put this back here out of the way. And we'll get this wheel up here where you can see it. And the names are pretty small, but we'll see who the winner is. So there we go. Debbie W. has won from the spin of the wheel. Congratulations, Debbie. And here is what you have won. It's one of these gradient cakes. This is from Cotton Kings, which is a Hobie product. And it's called Sultan Deluxe now. And very pretty summery colors, purples out to a pinky into a white. And I have your address now because you won one of the Christmas in July gifts, I believe. So I will get this in the mail to you probably at the beginning of next week. So congratulations to Debbie. Now, what are we going to do next? I think the next thing we want to do, I just got to get these things out of my way. The next thing we want to do is see the butterfly. I know you want to see the butterfly. So we'll move on to that next. And I rather like this butterfly, and you'll see why. So here it is. I'm going to cover the screen and give you a minute to look at it, get a screenshot, do whatever it is you need to do so that you have this butterfly for the month to work with. All right. So what am I going to be using? Well, I have two different choices here. And it's funny because you know how I go through them all in the fall, decide on the pictures and pick the yarns I'm going to use. And I had picked a yarn that I thought was perfect for it. And then just about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was in the cupboard, the old cupboard with the things I caked up years ago, and I saw something else and I thought, well, maybe that would be better. So first of all, I would like to try to do both, but I really don't know, because remember, I am also doing a summer cow. I have to do that, and I have to do my blanket for the month. So I want your opinion. Which one should I do? If I can't get to them both, which should I start with if I'm only going to do one? And this was, I have 3 of these, and this was the yarn I picked, and I thought, oh, this is all shades basically of purple, and it looked good. Now I'm going to put the butterfly up here beside me again, and I thought this looked good. And it is a Malabrigo Silky Merino, and it comes in, it's DK weight. Oh, okay. It's DK weight, and it comes in a 150 yard hank, and I happen to have 3 of them. So the 3 of them together makes 450 yards. It would make one of my 1 skein shawls. It's the same amount as a 1 skein, but a bit heavier. And there is one pattern I do have in mind. I forget who the designer is, but it is a very open, lacy, like shawl, but the type that could be worn around the neck. Now this has, it doesn't, 51% silk and 49% merino. It is very similar to the pearlescent fingering from EFA. So that was my original thought, that would make this great 1 skein item, and it's still kind of maybe my first choice. But if I have time, I also have this yarn, and you did see this once quite a while ago when I was showing you all those odds ones that I had caked up and was putting pairs together. And it's these 2. Again, I will put up the butterfly, and you can look at it and see, do you think this goes better with it? And you can see it in this one, not so much in this one, but they are both sparkly. But of course it would make a bigger item because I have 2 skeins, and this one is from Chickadee Fibers. I don't know where they are, in the US somewhere. I've had it a long time. And this one is from, if I do make something with it, I will tell you more about them. This one is from Matchmaker Yarns. I don't recall them. Maybe these are not in business anymore, or maybe I just haven't paid attention. So I have the 2 choices. This or this. The 3 singles or the 2 full skeins. Which do you think matches the picture the best? And I really hope I can make them both, but I'm not sure. So I would really, really like your opinions, people. I have a pattern picked out for the 3 little skeins, But if you say the two big skeins, the two cakes, I might need some ideas. All right. So, I'm going to try to not make this too long of a video. We need a bit of a rest because you had a big, long spiel from me earlier this week. So I think I'm just going to show you a couple of acquisitions. And then I think, I don't even think I'm going to, oh, no, something I wanted to show you first. And I thought I had it down here. Hang on a minute, I have to go and get it. All right, that shows you how well prepared I was today. And what I went to get was right here on the table beside me all along. So you can tell I have to think I'm running pretty tired. That's the story. So I wanted to talk for just a moment about the crochet along that Cathy and I are doing. Now, I know you saw the beginning of the blanket version I'm doing, and I'm using this mandala ombre, and I added width to it in order to make blanket size. And one thing I wanted to kind of correct myself about, and that was when I said, if you want to make it bigger or smaller, but you wouldn't want to make it too much smaller. If you want to make it bigger, like a blanket, to add multiples of 17. The pattern is a multiple of 17, and the repeat is 17. But this also has a row of what I call window stitches, and that has to work into a multiple of 2. It's an even number. So you can't just add one multiple of 17. You have to add 2 multiples. In other words, 34 extra chains. 34, 34, however wide you want to make the blanket. In my case, I just added 34. And here is how far I am at the moment. I don't think that is too much farther than where I was the other day. Maybe a little bit. I was farther than that, and I made a mistake. I left a stitch out, or I jumped a stitch or something, and it didn't work, and I had to tear out 2 rows and go back. So that was, oh, for Pete's sakes, that was all of my work sitting at the hospital taken out. What wants to fall out of my hand is I'm using a 5.5 millimeter hook, and this is a weight of 4. And that's how far I am at this point. So remember, if you want to make a blanket, you have to add 34 or a multiple of 34 to give you enough to keep it right in order to not only do the pattern, which is a repeat of 17, but to do the windows. Otherwise, you won't be able to do a window on a row if you don't do the multiple times 2. Is that confusing? In other words, multiple of 34 if you want to make it bigger. And that's what I'm doing. Now, I did start my second version using this beautiful blue yarn and the set of minis, but barely started. So I didn't bring it down to show you today. I will, though, bring it down next week. All right? So I'm just going to put this away because I have one other thing to tell you, or show you maybe. I don't know. If you are having problems with the pattern, and it really is not a difficult pattern if you understand that on row 2, I believe it is, the first time you do the wave, the very first row, you do your chains, and then you do a whole row of single crochets, and then you start the repeating pattern. And it tells you chain 2, and then you start with 2 double crochets in 3 stitches, in each of 3 stitches, Then it has the asterisk with the skip a stitch double crochet times 5. And then you skip a stitch and do the 2 double crochets in the next 3 stitches. End of bracket. And then it says repeat the pattern to the end, I think. That means you got to go all the way back to 2 double crochets in each of 3 stitches. Skip a stitch, double crochet 5 times, skip a stitch, and then 2 double crochets in each of 3 stitches. And I made it into a graph, not showing the ripple, but showing it flat, so that you realize that you have 6 double crochets at the beginning and end, but in between you have these skip stitches, 12 double crochets, 12 double crochets, 12 double crochets. And if you are having difficulty, I really don't feel I can do this in such a way as you can copy it on the internet. I can't do a tutorial. It's not my pattern. And we did contact the designer and she's not responded. But if you are having a problem, contact me and I will share this with you if you can read a chart. But if you just follow first bracket to the end bracket, everything they say, then go back to the beginning of the bracket and do it again. And as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 repeating patterns. There has to be an even number of the pattern because of the windows. Once you've done this row once, it'll be easy from then on, because the next row is single crochets, and then it's this pattern again, and then it's, that might be the single crochets in the back loop, and then it's this pattern, single crochets, no, this pattern, windows, and then you change colors, and then this pattern and single crochets. So 6 rows. This pattern happens 3 times every other row. Okay. I hope that hasn't made it worse for some of you. I hope you can understand it, but if not, like I said, get in touch with me, let me know, and we'll find a way to make it work for you. Okay? I'm sure that all of you could do this pattern. All right, next I want to show you a couple of acquisitions. I've had a few over the last few weeks. These do not count in, well, they're not Canadian. Even though I said I was only buying Canadian, I really, really wanted to get these. If you are following Nitty Natty, and I have really been following her lately because she is traveling across Canada. She is showing you scenery and various things in every province. She's gone to some mills. I think she went to a farm one place, and she's going to Canadian stores in every province and buying yarn, all Canadian yarn. So you might want to, of course, I'm following her because I want to learn other Canadian dyers so that I can check them out. But she has also been promoting since before she left on her trip to Canada. She is promoting this sock along week, and it happened, I think, a week ago. And she got together with some other people, and she promoted it, and she ran this sock along for a week. And she had a designer, a couple of designers that made project bags, and she had a couple of designers that dyed yarn, and she had a couple of designers that made project keepers or stitch minders, whatever you might call them. And their theme was ice cream. And they sold them on one particular day. And if you were part of this, going to be part of this sock along, you might want to purchase them. Well, she said a couple of weeks ago that there was still some left, and you just had to go to her website and you could purchase from each of these people. Now it was a link to them, and each individual designer sold you the item and shipped it to you, and it came very quickly, despite the fact they're coming US to Canada, and despite the Canada has a problem with the mail right now. So the mail isn't holding things up that badly. So I really wanted to get this one cute project bag because I needed another one and I was going to go looking. So I decided to get her project bag, which I have my yarn in for our crochet along. And here it is. Isn't this the cutest thing? Ice cream cones with your waffle cone base. It does go into a flat bottom base. And the inside is sprinkles. And I thought that was the cutest thing. Now, I don't know if they still have some of these left. You could go to Nitty Natty, I think it's nittynatty.com, and see if they still have them. It's right there on the home page. And this comes from a designer called World on a String Designs. World on a String Designs. But what I really liked, oh, and she put a little... What I really liked was one of the yarns she had, and I figured it would be sold out. Apparently, it did sell out, and the designer dyed up another batch. So there was some to get, and I saw Nitty Natty, Natalie's her name. I saw her knitting, I think she was knitting up a pair of socks in this yarn, and it was absolutely beautiful. And here it is, mostly purples. And this is called So Happy Jane. So Happy Jane is the name of the designer. And I love the color of this yarn, and it came with 2 matching minis. I like them both. Whether I would be making something that needed 2 minis, I don't know. But I'd be quite happy to put them with my minis. I love these colors. And just make something out of this. This was beautiful, stitched up. And I think I would just do it by itself. If it could use some stripes in it, I would use this. Maybe a cowl. And I can put some stripes with these colors in them. But I really, really liked this yarn. Very, very pretty. So that was the 2 acquisitions I made. And I have some EFA yarn here. I'll maybe talk about that next week. Next week is our the beginning of the month, so I'll be doing a stash down. I have 3 items to mention quickly in my stash down next week. And then I will probably do a yarn acquisition and bring you up to date on how I'm doing with purchasing this summer. And, oh, before I forget it, I want to tell you this. You know how one of my favorite Canadian hand dyers is Ravenswood? Well, for the very first time, Ravenswood is putting together a holiday box for Christmas. And I really love the feel of her yarn. It is a very, very soft yarn. For being a straight merino nylon, it almost feels like it has cashmere in it. So I knew I would really want to try it. It's hard to tell what the colors are. Oh, no. If you go to ravenswood.com, and I will put a link to her page in the description box. And in fact, I think I'll do the link right to the page where she talks about the Christmas holiday box. She has 8 different colored themes or inspirations, and you can pick what kind of color you want based on those. You can pick one of those 8. She has quite a variety, and quite honestly, they all looked very lovely, but some were very low-key, others were more colorful. And if you're interested in trying a holiday box And keep in mind the exchange rate from Canada to US, because most of you are in the US, it would be substantially cheaper, and it's above her minimum to get free shipping Canada or US, free shipping on it. So you might want to have a look at it and see what you think. I have purchased it, and I'm looking forward to getting it because I've always liked her yarn, and I think you will enjoy this yarn. So that's all I'm going to do today. I wanted to make this shorter because this is the second time this week. Next week, we will, as I said, do the stash down. And then other than a few acquisitions, I have nothing else special to do. So I'm going to make it one of my sit and crochet and chat. And I have those lists of questions over there. And I will work at answering more questions for you next week. Low-key week next week. Hopefully you will be back then. You seem to enjoy hearing what I have to tell you when I answer the question. So hopefully you'll be back next week. And until then, happy hooking.